Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this English lesson about compound nouns. We'll get started as soon as I verify that everything is working properly. I think it is. I think we're good to go. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Let me do the formal start, and then I'll say hi to everybody. So. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about compound nouns. In particular, this lesson is about open compound nouns. Compound nouns are nouns that are formed with two words together. And the ones we'll look at today have a space between the two words. So if you just need a quick example, juice box is one. Guest room is one as well. These are the types of nouns where they have two words and together it means something different than just the one word. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about compound nouns. Some of these might be new for you, some you might be familiar with, but I think it will be a good lesson either way. So welcome. Excuse me. If you wonder why I do that very formal intro is because that becomes the intro for the edited version. So it's a nice, clean intro. Did I say intro? Intro. A nice, clean intro for the edited version. Good morning to Freddie Wolf. Good morning to Know That, Fabian, Mode Ags, Wanda, Judith, Ridvan, Hafiaz, Mata, Paco-san, Key Park, Justina, Alex, Tina, Victor. I'm just scrolling back. Unsel's here. Good to see all of you. Good to see some familiar names. Sometimes I say familiar faces. Good morning to Celia as well. But I can't always see your faces. Some of you, your avatar is your face. Anyways, welcome to this English lesson. If this is your first time here, please use the chat to have fun English conversations with each other while I'm teaching. This is the one class where you're allowed to talk while the teacher is explaining things. And let me pin in the chat. If you do have a question, please use the link that's pinned in the chat, and Nightbot will actually pop that link up from time to time as well. Please use that to ask any questions you have. I'll teach for about 10 minutes, then I'll pause and I'll answer questions for 5 or 10 minutes. Then I'll get back to teaching and we'll kind of go back and forth. So that's how things work. Also, if you're new here, you should subscribe. There's a little button somewhere that says subscribe. It makes me happy when people subscribe to my channel. But let's get started. Here we go. Juice box. So my kids drank a lot of juice boxes when they were kids. We usually tried to make them drink water and milk, but sometimes they would want a juice box. A juice box is an actual box, like it's square, it's not round or anything, and it has juice in it. And you buy them from the grocery store. They come with a little straw, and then it's actually kind of annoying because the straw has a bit of plastic around it, and I actually find it kind of hard to get the plastic off the straw. And then you poke the straw. One end of the straw is cut so it has a point, and you poke it into the juice box, and then you can drink your juice. Here's what I don't like about juice boxes. After a child puts the straw in, if they squeeze the juice box, juice shoots out of the straw. And I saw that happen a lot of times when my kids were little. But a juice box is a small box filled with juice that usually you give to kids. Many kids will take a juice box in their lunch. So when they eat their lunch, they have something to drink as well. A guest room, a room in a house for visitors to sleep in. Now, you might think you have to be rich to have a guest room, but I don't think that's true. When Jen and I first moved here, we didn't have any children, and so we had a guest room. We had a room where if Jen's sister and brother-in-law visited, they could sleep in that room and stay over for the night. So a guest room is simply an extra room. As we had children, eventually all of the rooms in our house were full and we didn't have a guest room. But I can actually see a day in the future, in a couple of years, where we will probably turn one of the kids' rooms back into a guest room. So if Jen's parents came to visit, or if someone from far away came to visit, they could sleep in that room. Basically, it's just a bedroom and no one uses it until you have a guest. So a guest room, a room in a house for visitors to sleep in. A water bottle. If you're wondering where the idea for this lesson came from, it's because school started and everyone has an Awala water bottle, a bottle used for holding water. So I think this is both a good thing and a bad thing. I'll explain why. I think it's good that people are drinking more water. I actually don't think it's good to drink coffee all day. I think coffee is great, but if you have 10 cups a day, that's probably too many. I don't think it's good to drink pop or soda all day. I think water, milk, tea, those are all good things to drink. So I do think the fact that people are drinking more water is good. What I'm not sure about is sometimes people buy a water bottle and then a year later they buy a different one because it's the new cool one. And then a year later they buy another one because it's now the new cool one. Do I sound like an old grouchy person? So I think it's good in the sense that people are drinking more. People are using less plastic bottles, but some people do tend to buy new water bottles quite often. So hopefully it's still good for the environment. But a water bottle, a bottle used for holding water, obviously so you can drink it. Hotel room. So when you stay in a hotel, you stay in a hotel room. You rent a hotel room. We sometimes just shorten this to say room. Did you get a room at a hotel? Yes, I got a room at a hotel. You could also respond and say, no, I actually got an Airbnb. An Airbnb is when you pay to stay in someone's house. Usually they aren't there when you stay there, but sometimes that can be the case. Some people actually rent out their guest room on Airbnb, although I would find that a little awkward. When I've stayed at an Airbnb, we've always had the place to ourselves. That means no one else was there. But when you go on a trip, you need to book a hotel room. When you get to the hotel, you need to check in and then you bring your things up to the hotel room and you unpack and then maybe you go and explore the city that you are in. A hotel room, a room you rent in a hotel. And by the way, to rent means you pay money to use it. Window frame. So in the middle, there's another compound noun. The middle, the glass part is called the window pane, but the wooden part on the outside is called the window frame. Now, my windows don't have wooden frames. Well, they might, but I think they're vinyl on the outside. But the window frame is the border around a window. So inside you have a piece of glass called the window pane, and around it you have the window frame that holds that glass in place. So window frame, the border around a window. An award ceremony, a special event where people get awards or prizes or whatever happens to be the reason for the award ceremony. If you're familiar with the Oscars, if you're familiar with the Emmys, these are American award ceremonies where actors and actresses get awards for movies and TV shows. But yes, an award ceremony, a special event where people get awards. And these don't have to be really, really big. Our local Chamber of Commerce, which is a group of business people, every year they have an award ceremony where they give out awards for best new business in the area, or they give an award for most charitable business, like a business that gave lots of money and time to support a good cause. So an award ceremony, a special event where people get awards. A travel agent. If you want to book a hotel room, a travel agent is a good place to start. A travel agent is a person who helps you plan and book trips, flights, and hotels. If I wanted to visit France, I could go online and I could book a trip myself. But it might be a better idea, because that's a pretty big trip. It might be a good idea to go to a travel agent. A travel agent, again, is a person who might know the best places to stay in Paris. They might know of the best way to get there and what airline to use. So a travel agent, again, a person who helps you not just book the trip, but also plan your trip. They might say, oh, if you go to France, I highly recommend you go to this part of France and then at the end visit Paris. So travel agent, a person who helps you plan and book trips, flights, and hotels. And then if you do go on a trip, you might go on a plane and there might be a flight attendant. A flight attendant is a person who works on an airplane helping passengers. When you get on a plane, they might help you find your seat. You might say, where am I? And they might say, oh, you're row 37, seat A. They might help you find a spot for your overhead, for your carry-on, because sometimes the overhead compartment on an airplane can be quite full and you're not sure if there's a spot for your bag, for your carry-on bag. So the flight attendant might come over and say, oh, let me help you, and then rearrange the bags. The flight attendant will also give a little talk before the plane takes off, telling you how to fasten and unbuckle your seatbelt or to buckle and unbuckle. They'll tell you that underneath your seat is a flotation device, or your seat is a flotation device. They'll tell you that something will fall out of the ceiling if you need oxygen, if the plane is having difficulty flying. So, flight attendant, a person who works on an airplane helping passengers. Bowling alley, a place to go bowling. So this is the second reason why I came up with this lesson. The first was I saw a lot of water bottles. The second thing was my colleagues were talking about how we should all go bowling at some point in the future. Bowling is a game where you roll a really heavy ball and it goes down the bowling alley and it hits the pins at the end. And then you try to knock down the bowling pins. So bowling ball, bowling pin, bowling alley, these are all compound nouns for the game of bowling. Now this is called 10-pin bowling. In Canada, we also have 5-pin bowling, where there's only 5 pins and the ball is a little bit smaller. So a bowling alley, a place to go bowling. Hey, let me get a sip of water and look at some questions. And Hafia says they're not called steward and stewardess anymore. No, I think we've gone with flight attendant. Yes. And Mode says the 5-pin bowling is Canadian. Just putting it out there for Bob the Canadian. Yeah, when I lived in the US, when I was in university, it was all 10-pin, and I thought 5-pin was normal. Is Capri Sun considered a juice box, even though it doesn't technically come in a box? It comes in a pouch, maybe. We would probably call it a juice pouch, but we wouldn't call it a juice box. No, some people might. But yeah, it comes in like a foil, almost like an envelope, isn't it? Pouch is probably the best word for it. Okay, let me get to questions from the actual form. Fabian the Colombian, hi Teacher Bob, how are you? Thank you for your lessons. Could you explain to us the word compound? So compound usually means 2 or more parts. So if you lift weights, if you do a bicep curl, that uses 1 muscle. But if you do an overhead press, it is a compound movement because it uses your shoulder muscle, your tricep, and probably some of your back muscles. When you have a compound sentence, it has 2 parts to it. Like the rain kept coming down, but it was not as bad as yesterday. So I think that's a compound sentence. So it has 2 parts to it. So a compound noun has 2 parts to it, right? So you have hotel room, 2 words with 1 meaning. Judith, hi Bob. Have you looked out on something on a lookout on a hill? When? Thank you for the answer. The English lesson I did where I said, let's learn English on a hike, I think it was from 2 years ago. I didn't climb up, but there is like a lookout. So with stairs, and you can go really high and then you can observe things from there. I think people use it for bird watching. I didn't go up it that day, but I have gone up a lookout before. Yes, for sure. Anzal, I'm good in speaking. Well, that's good, by the way, because that's one of the hardest parts. But when it comes to reading and to writing something in a dictate way, I am very bad on it. How to improve this in English. So again, I usually just recommend do more of the thing you're bad at, but you want to do it in a structured way. So if you're having trouble with reading, you might want to adjust your reading level. Maybe read something that's a little bit easier for a month and then start to challenge yourself again. So if you're reading adult fiction, maybe start reading fiction created for young adults. And then writing, you kind of need feedback. So maybe do some writing and either ask an English speaking partner, maybe you have an English speaking partner, or ask AI to correct your writing. And after you get a correction, write it out again so that it goes through your brain one more time. That would be my recommendation. Let me just check my audio for a sec here. And then make sure, is my camera focusing? I think it is. This looks a little blurry. Maybe it's my eyesight that's getting worse. From Judith. Hi, Bob. Which compound noun is your favorite or most used? Thank you for the answer. Have a sip of water. Have a blessed weekend. I don't know. From my list here, I would say birthday party. We haven't done that one yet. I do enjoy a good birthday party. And video game is on the list as well. Those would be from this list, the two. Celia says, you must be careful with the hygiene of your water bottles. Yeah, I think some people don't wash them enough. So know that says the question is whether bowling with your collarbone is a good idea. If we go bowling, I don't think I will go with. Last time I went bowling was more than 10 years ago. I had a really sore knee the next day. And I am right-handed, so I could probably bowl. But you do swing your other arm when you bowl. So I don't think, if it's anytime soon, I don't think I will go. Unsol, hi, Mr. Bob. How can we easily identify whether a compound noun should be written as one word with a hyphen or as two separate words? Thanks. Well, my approach is this. I'm doing a lesson today on open compound word nouns where there is a space. I'll do another lesson in a few weeks on closed. I think they're called closed, where it's two words stuck together. And I'll do another one where they're separated with hyphens. It's hard to know. I'll be honest, I have to look some of them up sometimes. Like if you said waterfall, I'm pretty sure that's one word. If you said backpack, I know that's one word. But if you said, which one did I have to look up yesterday? There was one. Yeah, I don't see it here. But there was one where I was like, oh, I'm not sure if it's one word or two. So I think it comes down to pure memorization. I think you have to just straight up memorize them. From Unsel as well. Hi again. We see takeoff become takeoff and check-in become check-in. How common is this shift from phrasal verb to compound noun in English? Thanks, bye. Quite common. So if you say the plane is going to lift off or take off, or sorry, the rocket's going to lift off, then you would call it the liftoff was at 8 a.m. So we quite often will do that where we have a phrasal verb and there's also a noun form of it. And this happens with other verbs too, right? Like I can kick the soccer ball and someone could say the kick was really hard. So we take the verb, flip it to a noun, and then describe it. From Junji, what's on the bucket list? Should be things you have never done before in your life. I also want to know what's on your bucket list. So a bucket list is the list of things you want to do before you die, before you kick the bucket. I think that's why it's called a bucket list. On my bucket list, there are a lot of travel related things. I would really like to visit the Netherlands because that's where my parents were born. I would really like to visit France because I am a French speaker and I would love to visit the country where the language originated. There aren't a lot of other things on my bucket list, but those would be two of the things. Let's see here. From Talik. Hi, Bob. How are you? Good. What do you think about doing a live with Brent online someday? I think it would be really cool. Have a great day. You know, Brent and I haven't been in contact as much as we normally are. I think we've both been quite busy. I was originally going to visit Brent last summer, but that didn't work out for various reasons, including the collarbone, although we had already decided not to do the trip before that. Let me think about that, because technology has allowed people to do live lessons together. So let me talk to Brent about that. I want to wait until both of us have settled into our new school year routines. Remember, both Brent and I do go to work every day, so it's not like we have lots of time to do things like that, but I will text him today. Mode says it only matters in writing. Yes. So compound nouns, it really only matters in writing. Like backflip. You don't have to know if it's one or two words or if it has a hyphen if you hear it or if you want to say it. But luckily it's the same pronunciation whether there's a space, hyphen, or nothing at all. Yes. Excellent. And then bucket list is a great compound noun. It is. Very, very cool. Okay, one more question. Did I answer the one on the screen? Yes. From Sandy, hi Teacher Bob. I am preparing an English interview. What videos of yours do you recommend? None of them. If you are getting ready for an English interview, I recommend that you practice an interview. And there's a few ways to do that. Get a list of questions, common questions for an interview, and that you can get from a video, and have someone ask you those questions and then you respond in English. Or find someone, like I recommend Preply a lot. Find an English speaking partner who can kind of practice an interview with you. Yes, watching videos to get ready for an interview, that's a good plan. But I think a better plan would be to actually practice interview questions with someone. That would be a great idea. Bob, every once in a while I have an ad in the chat. Is that the same for all of you? It's the first time for me. I have never seen that before. I will have to, maybe they're testing that in France. Yes. Mode says, I think the balls are lighter and don't have finger holes. 5-pin bowling is a smaller ball with no holes. 10-pin, the ball is bigger and you put your fingers in it to throw it. And then no dirty jokes. I believe they've done like 6 live streams together in the past. Yeah, we did one together where we connected remotely using, I think it was StreamYards or something like that. We should look into it again. But no, Freddie, I've never seen ads in the chat. I'll have to investigate that a little bit. Maybe Mode mentioned Capri Sun and now the ads are showing up. Okay, let's get back to the lesson before people get bored. Here we go. Birthday cake. A special cake for someone's birthday. Now, I don't know if this is a custom around the world, but certainly in North America, in Canada, and in the United States, if it is your birthday, someone hopefully will make you a birthday cake. This is usually a cake made with flour and eggs and sugar and other stuff. And it usually has icing on it as well. This cake has white icing. And then usually they will put in candles. If it's for a child, they will put in the same number of candles as the age of the child. So if it's your 9th birthday, your parents or whoever will put 9 candles in the cake. They'll light the candles. You make a wish and then you blow out the candles. And I think if you blow out all the candles with one breath, your wish comes true. Did you understand that? Like you wish for, oh, if I was 16 and I had a birthday cake, I would wish for a new car, and then I would blow out the candles and hopefully get a new car. So birthday cake, a special cake for someone's birthday. I eat smaller and smaller pieces of birthday cake. When I was younger, I would eat as big a piece as possible, but lately I usually request something smaller. There's a lot of sugar and oil and calories in birthday cake. Wedding reception, a party after a wedding. So traditionally, there are 2 parts to a wedding. It does depend on whether it's a religious ceremony or not. But most weddings that I've been to, there is a service. You go to the wedding ceremony, and it's usually, maybe there's a pastor. It might be in a church. It might be at the town hall. But the 2 people will say their vows. They will promise to be husband and wife. They'll promise to be partners for life. And then after the official part, the legal part of the wedding or the religious part of the wedding, there's usually a wedding reception. This is usually in a different location, and it's really just a party after a wedding. So it's a place where you go and you talk to all your relatives, because usually when you're at a wedding, all your relatives are there. You sit and have a meal together. And then after the meal, there might be a slideshow about the new couple. There might be a dance. There might be special presentations by members of the family. So a wedding reception is a party after a wedding, and they're usually quite fun. Jen and I, though, we're in an era where we haven't been to a lot of weddings lately. As you go through life, there's a time when all your friends might be getting married, so you go to a lot of weddings. And then there's a time, I guess the next would be when your children, well, nieces and nephews getting married might be the next time. But then eventually, when you're my age, in your early 50s, I guess we're waiting for kids to get married. That might be next. Anyways, wedding reception, a party after a wedding. Science lab. So normally these are found in schools. So a room with special equipment for experiments. So if you remember your school days, maybe some of you still are in school, there is a classroom that has beakers and Bunsen burners that have a little flame and test tubes and microscopes. And it's a place where you can learn about science, and you can learn about science by doing experiments. So science lab, a room with special equipment for experiments. You might have this at work. Maybe you work in a place where you do have a lab. You might not call it a science lab. You might have a lab where you test food products, or you test, maybe your place of work makes something and you have a science lab to test to make sure it was made properly. Movie theater, a place to watch films on a big screen. We do use the word film and movie interchangeably. Do you want to go see a film this weekend? Do you want to go see a movie this weekend? If you go to see a movie, you will go see it in a movie theater. We sometimes also call it a cinema, but it's probably more common in my area to say movie theater. What movie theater do you want to go to tonight? Do you want to go to the one in Toronto, or do you want to go to the one in Hamilton? I probably wouldn't say what cinema do you want to go to, although I have heard people say, oh, we went to the cinema last night and saw a movie. But in my part of the world, I think movie theater, a place to watch films on a big screen, is probably the most common. Coffee shop. This one I'm sure you all know. A coffee shop is a place where you can buy coffee. So it's a small restaurant that sells coffee and snacks. But don't worry, if you like tea, you can get tea at a coffee shop. I am not aware of a coffee shop that doesn't also sell tea and other things to drink. They might even sell juice boxes for kids. But coffee shop, a small restaurant that sells coffee and snacks. I also have never been to a coffee shop that only sold coffee and didn't have cookies and muffins and brownies and other common snacks in this part of the world. So, coffee shop, a small restaurant that sells coffee and snacks. Hospital bed. I'm somewhat familiar with these. A special bed used in hospitals. What makes a hospital bed different from a normal bed is that it goes up and down. It tilts. It has wheels on the bottom so they can wheel you around the hospital. It might even have, like at the back, there's a special pole so they can hang the IV on that pole. So if you have a needle in your arm with a tube going up to some fluid in a bag, the hospital bed might have that attached to it. So hospital bed, a special bed used in hospitals. I was in one in May after I broke my collarbone. I sat in one for about 6 hours. And they did wheel me down to the x-ray room, and they wheeled me back up because the bed had wheels. Shopping cart. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. A small cart you push in a store to carry things you want to buy. We also in Canada might call this a grocery cart if you're at the grocery store. I think in the UK they call it a trolley. Do I have that right? Maybe someone can let me know. But shopping cart, a small cart you push in a store to carry things you want to buy. Bus stop, a place where you wait for the bus. or get off the bus. So this is usually a little sheltered area. Sometimes there's a bench inside. It's a place where you can get out of the wind. It's a place where you can get out of the sun, where you can get out of the rain. That's how we describe being sheltered from weather. With a bus stop, if it's windy, you can go inside to get out of the wind. If it's raining, you can go inside to get out of the rain. And if it's sunny, you can go inside to get out of the sun. And then you can wait for the bus. It's also the place where you get off the bus. The bus will stop and you can get off the bus stop. Traffic jam, a line of cars stuck and not moving because the road is too crowded. I do not like traffic jams. I was in a traffic jam last week, Saturday, after my live stream last week, Saturday. I had to go to a town called Burlington to pick up a birthday gift for someone. And it took me 35 minutes, 40 minutes to get there. And it took me 2 hours to get home because I had to go across a bridge. And then after I went across the bridge, there was an accident. So I couldn't come back across the bridge. So there was a traffic jam going towards the bridge. And eventually I found my way and I went the long way around. So traffic jam, a line of cars stuck and not moving because the road is too crowded. Police station, a building where police officers work and help people. So in your town, there's probably a building. It probably says police on the front or whatever police is in your language. And inside there will be a lot of police officers, another compound noun. And there will be a lot of police cars, another compound noun out front. So a police station, a building where police officers work and help people. And then of course, post office, a place where you send and receive mail. I only go to the post office every 2 or 3 weeks now. I have a post office box and people send me postcards. I really appreciate that. It's fun to see pictures of your countries. My address is in the description below, by the way. But a post office is a place where you go if you want to pick up your mail or if you want to send a letter. Most people, though, have a post office box in their subdivision or in their neighborhood. That's more common in Canada. I'll show one in a video someday. I think I'd be curious to know how mail is done around the world. Here, my mail comes right to a mailbox at the end of my driveway out in the country. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go to members only chat mode. Let me fire that up for a sec. Members only chat mode happens because some people have decided to be members, which I appreciate. I did have someone the other day, though, was kind of annoyed because some things on my channel are for members and some things are for everybody. And they wanted everything I do to be available to everybody. And I think what's missing in that is the members and their memberships allow me to do this as a job and create lots of content for everybody. So if you are a member, your monthly fee directly improves the amount of lessons that I can make for the people that aren't members. So if you're not a member, you should be happy that there are members because they are awesome. They pay for cameras, they pay for lights, they pay for, I might buy a drone at some point. I'm not sure how well that will help me teach English, but thank you for being members. And one of the rewards of being a member is you get members only chat. There is a subscribe plus or join button below. And if you click that, you can get more information about being a member. I'm going to do 2 questions from the forum and then I will do members only chat. Just a piece of advice, please avoid drinking from plastic water bottles as there might be a chance of microplastics being present in them. We as a world are starting to realize that we've allowed plastic to get into almost everything. There's plastic in our drinking water in some places. There's plastic in our rivers and streams. Microplastics are very tiny pieces of plastic. So I think we have to be a bit careful about what we use. And certainly the less plastic we use, the better. Kuso, excuse me, Teacher Bob. I wonder how I can differentiate which compound nouns should be separated, like roller skate and skateboarding. Yeah, I think you just have to memorize them and then remember as well the advice that It's only important if you're writing it. So if you are hearing it or if you are saying it, they sound the same whether you have a space or no space or a dash. So, and then of course, if you're reading it, you see the correct version. In the chat, members only chat mode, says John Wedge. Fabian says, I have a random question. What does tap water taste like in Canada? It tastes different in every town. The town where I work, the tap water tastes pretty good. But 30 years ago, the water in that town tasted so bad that people didn't drink it. So it just depends on where your original water source is, like where the water originally comes from. The water I drink comes from Lake Ontario. It goes through a water purification plant, and then that determines its taste. But generally, it tastes pretty good. From Freddie Wolf, Bob, I've never experienced a science test in your school that finished in a funny, wrong way. Oh, have you ever experienced a science test? So the story I can tell you about that is when I was student teaching, when I was teaching at a school to learn to be a teacher, the science teacher was doing explosions in the science lab, and it scared all of us. Know that. Hello, Bob. What are you up to today? Anything special on your to-do list? And how about your weekend? Any plans? Thanks in advance. Today is a completely normal Friday. I'm going to finish this lesson, and then I'm going to go to work, and then I'm going to come home from work tired and have a nap. Nothing special. And then nothing special this weekend. We have a bunch of work to do on the farm. It's starting to feel like fall. And so we're starting to think about the jobs we need to do before winter comes. I know it's not winter yet in the Northern Hemisphere, but there's always that feeling of, oh, we only have a few months before the snow flies. Mode has a joke here. Hey, Mr. Bob, did you hear about the two antennas that got married? The ceremony was okay, but the reception was excellent. So if you understand the joke, you have wedding reception, and an antenna has good or bad reception. John Wedge, no questions, Bob. Just having fun as always. That's good. Let's see. By the way, I spent quality time here with you all. Yes, Fabian. I scrolled a little bit too much. Wanda, hi, Teacher Bob. Is it correct to say picture frame? Thanks. Have a nice weekend. Yes. Window frame has a window in it. A picture frame has a picture or painting in it. Interestingly enough, you put a painting in a picture frame. It's not a painting frame. We don't call it that. The only thing I don't like about your mailbox is that it's on the other side of the street, Bob, but it's probably more practical for the driver. Somewhat. Mail delivery people used to buy vehicles from the UK or another country so they could drive on the other side, and then it was easier to put the mail in the mailbox. So, John Wedge, I'm happy when I understand jokes in English. I think it's a good sign of my comprehension. Absolutely. And don't forget to give a thumbs up, folks, from John Wedge. Thanks, John, for that. Know that. What's the weather like over there today? Is it still the same as it was earlier this week, or has it changed since then? Thank you, Bob. Cool at night. Gorgeous during the day. I wish the weather was like this all the time. It's about 15 degrees at night, 12 degrees Celsius at night, and about 20, 22 during the day. It's beautiful. Freddie Wolf, finally, as soon as we speak English, we will use compound nouns almost the whole time, won't we? Yes, probably. There are a lot of them. Yes. Like, sometimes it's a compound noun, but sometimes it's just an adjective in front of the noun, and it's quite common. So know that. Could you explain the meaning of the expression to sit on the fence and give some examples of its usage? Thanks a lot, Bob. Jen thinks we should go see a Blue Jays game tonight, but I'm kind of on the fence because I don't want to be out late, but at the same time, it would be lots of fun. So when you're on the fence about something, it means you're undecided. You haven't really decided. Plus, tickets are a little bit pricey. Ralph says, hi, everybody. Again, right on time to be far too late. Well, you're welcome here anyways. Mode, do you think you can do another lesson on variable nouns? No, Mode, I do not know what variable nouns are. You would think that I would know everything, but let me look them up and I'm sure I will know what they are in a moment. Oh, both count nouns and uncount nouns. I see. Yes. Okay. Yes, I will do a lesson on that. Let me make a note of that. Different meanings depending on their usage. Okay, sorry to pause there as I do a bit of research. Thanks for that question, Mode. I will look into that. Obviously, I know how to use them. I just don't know what they are, and I have to like study it for a bit to make a lesson. As a native speaker, there's times where you don't know what exists in your own language, so quite fun. Fabian, when it comes to weather here in Colombia, depends on the town. Some are hot and some are cool. Yes. No, that says thanks for answering my questions and for your explanation, Bob. No problem. Let me get another question from the forum. I'll keep an eye on the chat. Did I answer this one? Yes. From Unabi, hi, Mr. Bob. Glad to be here again. Speaking of compound words, the one makeup came into my head immediately. Moreover, it's also a phrasal verb, isn't it? Thanks. Yes. So you can make it up to someone. Like if let's say I got annoyed with Jen, I could make it up to her by buying her flowers. Also, Jen could put on makeup before she goes out. If I want to lie, I could make up something. Like I could say, I'm actually 60 years old. That's a lie. When you make something up, it means you are lying. I think I could do a whole lesson on just the word makeup for sure. Theo, hi Bob. My question is, what is different between livelihood and vocational? So your livelihood is what you do to earn a living. It's kind of a formal word. We usually say, what do you do for work? And then vocation is just another word for work. It's like, what is your vocation is a very formal way of asking, livelihood is a formal way of asking, what do you do for a job? Livelihood is a combination of activities, assets, your income, your skills, and your resources that you use to get the basic necessities of life. Yes. So livelihood could be something like fishing or farming, etc. Yeah, it's a very formal word. We don't use it very often. You wouldn't say to someone, do you enjoy your vocation? Is it a good livelihood? It sounds very, very formal. Back to the chat, and then we'll get back to the actual lesson. Let's see. Hairs is one example that came up in the members only stream. Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. To split hairs. There's hair on your head. He has a lot of hairs above his mouth, a lot of hair. Hi, Bob. Can I know what the maximum weight and dimensions allowed for sending to your mailbox? I don't think there is a maximum. It's based on how much money you're willing to spend. If it doesn't fit in the mailbox, they put a piece of paper in, and then they keep it in a bin in the back, and I give them the paper and they give me the package. Don't send me a hammock though, because I haven't hung the last one up yet. Mode, it's a bit too much of a grammar lesson, but if you feel up to it, why not? Yes. It's kind of grammar-y, I guess, because it's the rules are a bit tricky, right? Of how to use it and when. Okay, let me turn off members only chat. Let me thank the members once again. Thank you so much for being members again. If you're curious what membership gets you, there is a join button below. If you click it, you can watch a little video. Also in the description, it tells you that you'll get an extra video on Wednesdays, a little lesson on Monday. You'll get a members only live stream on Wednesdays. You get to have your name in green. You get a crown by your name during live streams. And there's a few other things. You get access to all the levels of the vocab app, and there will be more levels coming. And something else that I can't remember. But let's get back to the lesson. I'll finish off the lesson, and then I will finish off all the questions that are in the chat or elsewhere. So let's go. Birthday party. I should have put this slide by birthday cake. A birthday party is a party to celebrate someone's birthday. I apologize that my lessons are sometimes quite kind of random, especially when I throw them together late at night on a Thursday. A birthday party, a party to celebrate your birthday. I had my birthday party in July, during the month of July. It's a fun time. At my age, sometimes you have a birthday cake, sometimes not. At my age, sometimes people give you gifts, but more than likely they'll give you a card, and it might have a gift card in it. That is probably the most common gift for someone in their early 50s, okay? So it's a party to celebrate someone's birthday. These people went all out. When you go all out, it means you do more than the minimum. They have little fun party hats, and it looks like they got green straws to match the drink that they're having. and they brought gifts. They went all out. That looks like a fun party. Fish pond. So a small pond with fish in it. And generally a fish pond is for, like, it's decorative. It doesn't serve any other function other than you can hear the water bubbling and you can watch the fish and you can feed the fish. And it's meant to be a peaceful part of a garden. So a fish pond is usually a small pond. Sometimes it's this fancy, sometimes it's a little simpler, and usually it will have goldfish in it. That is probably the most common kind of fish that people will put in their fish pond. And in Canada, the pond has to be deep enough so that when it freezes in the winter, it's still water at the very bottom. So the fish have a place to live through the winter. So fish pond, a small pond with fish in it. I do not have a fish pond. I don't know. They are peaceful. It is nice to sit and read a book beside a fish pond. Maybe I'll build one someday, but probably not. Flower garden. We do have these. A garden with flowers as opposed to vegetables. In English, when you use the phrase as opposed to, it means like the opposite of or different than. So a flower garden then would not have beans or corn or spinach in it. A flower garden would have different varieties of flowers. In this case, I think these are zinnias. I think in the front here, the orange ones are probably marigolds. And then there's a nice little path. So flower garden, a garden with flowers. Video game, an electronic game played on a computer or console. I only play video games on my computer. I will play on the Nintendo Switch with my kids sometimes, but I prefer to play games on my computer. In the winter, usually in January and February when it's really cold outside, I will usually find a game and play it. Last winter, I was playing Against the Storm, and I was playing a game called Planetfall, I think it was called. They were both pretty good. They were a lot of fun. So video game, an electronic game played on a computer or a console. Credit card, a dangerous card that lets you spend money that you don't have. Sorry, that's not the definition. Credit card, a plastic card used to pay for things instead of cash. So when you go to buy something, you can give the person money. You can pay with what I call a bank card or debit card, where the money comes from your bank account and goes to the business. Or you can use a credit card, which means you are buying something with money that you are instantly borrowing from the credit card company. There's a couple things that are important with credit cards. Always pay them off every month and don't use them very often. Those are my two recommendations. A plastic card used to pay for things instead of cash. Apartment building, a tall building with many apartments inside. How do you know this is an apartment building, you might wonder, instead of an office building, which is another compound noun? You can tell this is an apartment building because it has balconies. There is a place on every floor with every apartment where you can go outside on your little balcony. There's a railing so that it's safe, and then you can enjoy a bit of the outdoors. Although, depending on how high up you are, I'm afraid of heights, so I don't know how much I would enjoy going on the balcony on the 30th floor of an apartment building. But an apartment building, a tall building with many apartments inside. A beach towel, a large towel you use at the beach. Now, you might take the same towel to the beach that you use after you take a bath or shower, but it might be nicer to have a beach towel. A beach towel is usually very large. It's usually larger than the towel you would use to dry yourself off after a shower or bath. And it's usually quite colorful. I have a beach towel and we use it when we go to, there's a large pool at a park near us, so I will bring my beach towel. The other reason it's nice to have a beach towel is it's large enough that you can lay on it. You can put the beach towel out on the sand and you can lie down on the beach towel. Key fob or car key or fob, a key used for a car. I don't have mine on my desk right here. My one car has a key, a car key. My other car has a fob. We just usually call them all keys though. So a common question in our house is, have you seen the red van keys? Have you seen the car keys? And then, usually someone will find them. I have my own set for all the vehicles, and I keep them in a certain spot, but it's the second set that sometimes gets lost, the ones that my driving age kids use. A house key then is a key used to lock or unlock a house. Pretty straightforward. Car key used for a car. House key used for a house. And then a grandfather clock. This might be a very unique one. I haven't actually seen a grandfather clock in a long time. My grandfather on my dad's side actually had a grandfather clock. A grandfather clock isn't called a grandfather clock because the person who owns it is a grandfather. It's called a grandfather clock because that's the style of clock. It's a large standing clock. It usually has weights on the inside on chains, and you have to pull the weights up every 24 hours or every few days, and then the weights slowly go down, and that's what makes the clock go. So grandfather clock, a large standing clock. This guy kind of looks like me a little bit. That's not me, but maybe someday I'll go to the grandfather clock store. By the way, these are pretty rare now. Not a lot of people have grandfather clocks. I think they were very popular 30 or 40 years ago, but nowadays I think people just like things simpler. Like, this is a pretty big thing to have in your house. Bed sheet, a very thin blanket on a bed. So just so you know the difference, when you have a mattress, you put a fitted sheet over the mattress. A fitted sheet has elastic in the corner, and the fitted sheet is the first thing I would put on a bed. Then you will put the pillowcases on the pillows. And then there's usually another thin blanket, which we call a bed sheet, that goes on top of the fitted sheet. In the winter, then you would add more and more blankets on top of the sheets so you can stay warm. But bed sheet, a very thin blanket on a bed. Hey, that's it. Let me scroll back in the chat because there's lots of chat going on, and then I will answer some questions. There's a world of difference between this pond and the pond Mr. Bob has on his farm. Yes, definitely. Yes, we have a rather large pond, which does have fish in it, by the way. But yeah, it's not tranquil or anything like that. Let's see. To have a fish pond and a swimming pool is my daydream. You know, water is just nice. We really enjoy that we live with the river beside our farm. Ismail says, just to explain, I usually watch Bob's lives on my phone, and scrolling during live chats can be tricky. It is. Like usual, when I saw my name highlighted on Wednesday, I thought it was just a group hello. Oh, yes. So I only said hi after the live ended. I took a quick look back and realized my mistake. Sorry about that. No problem. Mistakes are great. Like, if you're communicating and you make a mistake, you're still learning. So Freddie Wolf, when credit cards are close to melt because they are too hot, you must slow down your purchases before your bank account is empty. Yes. Fob sounds a bit funny. Yeah, it is a funny word, eh? Key fob. Live stream is a compound noun, by the way. It is. There you go. Super lesson. Thank you. Okay, let me finish off the questions, and then we can all roll out of here and get back to our day. From Zola. Zola from Kenya. It is my first time to see your live stream. I've been watching your videos since 2019. Well, thanks, Zola, you are a dedicated English learner. Thanks for watching for that long. That is very cool. I appreciate it. I always am a bit shocked when people tell me how long they've been watching for. Like, it's humbling. That's the word I would use. Hite, this is a great question. Hi, Bob. What is the difference between coffee shop and cafe? Not a whole lot. I would say this. A coffee shop and cafe are the same thing, although cafe might imply something a little fancier. Like, you can have a pretty rundown, old coffee shop and still call it a coffee shop. But to me, a cafe might have outdoor seating, and they might have nicer chairs, and the coffee might be like better coffee at a cafe. So I would say coffee shop and cafe are the same, but a cafe is a little nicer. Everything's decorated a little with nicer colors, and everything's everything's fancier at a cafe. NFL is week 2. Bob, I have a question. Do you like to have an NFL team in Canada? Thanks. We have our own American style football league called the CFL, or the Canadian Football League. The rules are slightly different than American football, but it's essentially the same game. Would I like an NFL team? If I say that, does it mean I'm not very Canadian? I don't know. I think it would be cool. Although I do live very close to the city of Buffalo, New York. So people who are NFL fans in my part of Canada often will go to watch games in Buffalo. They enjoy going across the border to see a game. Let me see here. Super lesson. Thank you. Thank you so much, Teacher Bob, for today's lesson. That's from Wilma. I always learn a lot. One day I'll speak English fluently. I hope you are able to. Cuckoo Clock, that reminds me of your question to Bob. Yes. Fob sounds like fog or frog. Fob, frog. Yeah, it is the same sound, isn't it? Fog. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up, everybody. Bye. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Remember, this lesson will come out in a shorter version in a couple days. That shorter version has all of the viewer questions removed. So it's a pure lesson of all 31 compound nouns. It's great for your retention, for your ability to remember these words if you watch it again, or if you at least listen to it again. I don't do this because I want views, although it is a win-win. If you watch the video again, that does help me. But it is good when you're learning language to use some repetition. And here's how you can do it without it being kind of boring. You can listen to this while making supper. You can listen to this while riding on the train. You can listen to that lesson while you're cleaning the house. It doesn't have to be viewed as a video, although that can be helpful. Also, if you don't have time for that, just come back and watch the sections that you didn't quite understand and turn on the subtitles. Anyways, thanks for watching. New lesson Tuesday. It's already done, by the way. There's a lesson coming up Tuesday about English number phrases, like to give 110%, second to none. I can't think of the other one. Zero tolerance. It's a whole bunch of, I went around my town and tried to find a quiet place with no trucks. That was hard for that lesson, but that's coming out Tuesday. It's locked and loaded, ready to go for Tuesday at 3 a.m. So that will be there. Anyways, thanks for watching. You guys are awesome. I'm not playing the extremely pompous, arrogant song about myself as an outro. That was just a little fun era on the Bob the Canadian channel. If you do want to listen to that song, though, it is uploaded as a video if you check. But we're just going to go with the normal outro song. So thanks for watching. You guys are awesome.